Hi aspirants, welcome to SRV's weekly current affairs discussion for polity and international relations. The first topic for today is PradhanmantriGarib Kalyan AnnaYojana. It's in news because the government has extended the PradhanmantriGarib Kalyan AnnaYojana, simply called as PMGKAY, for another 6 months. That is, it has been extended up to September 2022, and this will be the phase 6. The phase 5 of this program ended in March 2022. The PradhanmantriGarib Kalyan AnnaYojana has been under implementation since April 2022, and this is the largest food security program in the world. So such questions are known to be asked in prelims. This is the largest food security program in the world. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the union government announced this PradhanmantriGarib Kalyan AnnaYojana to provide free food to the affected population. That is, not cooked food, but free food, grains like rice, wheat, and so on. This PMGKAY is a part of PradhanmantriGarib Kalyan package. It's part of the PradhanmantriGarib Kalyan package, which was announced to help the poor fight the battle against COVID-19. The important part here is it is under the Ministry of Finance. So all what we have to know is the scheme's name, and it is the largest food security program, and it provides free grains, and it is under the Ministry of Finance. We could be easily confused or fooled when the ministry is asked. Sometimes Social Justice Ministry will be in the option, Agricultural Ministry will be there in the option, and so on. But actually it is under the Ministry of Finance. Some of the important features of this scheme: 80 crore individuals will be covered. Insurance cover of 50 lakh per health worker. So these are very important points for prelims. So how much is the amount? And it is not for everyone, it is only for health workers and so on. For the past 3 to 4 years, you can see the old questions, and we can find that nowadays UPSC is asked questions based on values, like what is the amount given, how many years, and so on. And moreover, 80 crore people will get 5 kg wheat or rice, and apart from that 1 kg of their preferred pulses, and all this will be free. So 5 kg of grains and 1 kg of pulses. And then women under the Jan Dhan Yojana account will be given rupees 500 per month. And moreover, it has increased the MG Narega wage to 202 rupees a day, which was earlier 182 rupees. And then apart from this, the government will front load rupees 2000 paid to the farmers in the first week of April under the existing PM Kisan Yojana. So under the Prime Minister Kisan Yojana, 2000 rupees will be given to the farmers. And who are the beneficiaries? The beneficiaries will be the National Food Security Act beneficiaries, which is based on the 2011 census. So let us revise it once again. Insurance cover of 50 lakh only for health workers, free grains for 80 crore people. Under the Jan Dhan account, women will get 500 rupees per month. MG Narega wages is increased. 2000 rupees will be paid free for the farmers under the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Yojana. And this is based on the census 2011 to identify the beneficiaries for the scheme. And the next one is the Bucharest Nine. So it's in news because the envoys to India of the 9 Eastern European countries, which is also called as the Bucharest Nine countries, have jointly wrote to acquaint the Indian public with the basic facts on the ground about the premeditated, unprovoked and unjustified Russian aggression in Ukraine. So what is the idea here is they want the Indian people to be aware and know what's the truth happening there. That is, they claim that this is an unprovoked, unjust attack on Ukraine. So these are a group of 9 NATO countries in the Eastern European region. You can just have a look at the map here to have a better idea. And these countries became part of the NATO after the Cold War on November 4, 2015. So mostly the question that will be asked is somewhere like 1945, 1969, such numbers will be there in the option, but these Bucharest Nine countries became a part of the NATO only in 2015. And this B9 countries have been critical of President Vladimir Putin's aggression against Ukraine since 2014 itself. So when the war in the Donbass started and Russian annexed in the Crimean Peninsula region. So the war here started in the Donbass region, then later on Crimea was annexed in the year 2014. Since this time, these countries were criticizing Russia, and that is why they thought this aggression could continue or grow towards their country as well, and for them to be safe, they joined the NATO. And where is the headquarters of this Bucharest Nine? It is in the capital city Bucharest, which is the capital of Romania. So now, whenever there is an international news, so UPSC mostly asks question as a map based question. So you can see and have a look at the map here, and apart from that, we'll just go through the member countries. The member countries include Romania, Poland, Hungary, Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. So simply it is the Baltic nations, Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia, and you can take it as one more country, Czechoslovakia, which later became split into 2 countries. And apart from that, it's too easy because we know Poland is always included in whatever Russian conflict is there with the West, and Romania is the border between the Eastern Europe and the West. And the 2 other countries to remember are Hungary and Bulgaria. So it's easy to remember, just not reading just like that as a list. If you can see the map and find that they are the border countries mostly with Europe and with Russia, it's easy to remember actually. And all the members of this Bucharest Nine, or simply called as B9, are part of the European Union as well, and also the NATO. So this could be an important question. They belong to NATO and the European Union, that to all the B9 countries. Such questions like all only are very familiar with UPSC. And all these countries were once closely associated with the Soviet Union, and they were allied towards the West after the breaking of the USSR, and that too particularly when they started to fear that USSR, which has broken now, and it is only as Russia which could become aggressive later on, which it could try to annex them back as a single country towards Russia. And what are the functions of this B9? The B9 platform, they offer for deepening the dialogue and consultation among the participant countries, so that they could articulate their specific contribution to the ongoing process across the North Atlantic Alliance. That is simply, they think their job is to have a cordial relationship with the NATO countries. And it works in total compliance with the principles of solidarity and indivisibility of the security of the NATO member states. So we don't have to say so much or think so much. Simply the functions of B9 is to have a cordial relationship with NATO. That's it. And no question can be asked from here unless you can use this in your mains exam. Questions from prelims could be somewhere like, are all the countries of B9 members of European Union? Are all the countries of this B9 members of NATO, and so on? That is where you have to be very sure, and you have to have memorized these details. The next topic is about the 7.5 horizontal reservation in NEET, and we know very well this reservation was given for the students who clear NEET, that is the medical entrance exam, particularly for those students who have studied in the government schools. And this we know it was given in Tamil Nadu during the previous ADMK government's regime, and it has become also a contest in the court, and the court has given verdict, and so many things are going on. And since the court has given a new verdict now, this is in news. The Madras High Court has upholded this 7.5% horizontal reservation. So something we have to talk about today is what is horizontal reservation and what is vertical reservation. And this particular 7.5 reservation was given under the Government Schools Bill 2020, which said a 7.5% horizontal quota will be provided for the government school students who qualify in the NEET exam for admissions to undergraduate medical courses, only for UG. This is another prelims detail. But anyway, what we call here the government schools is not applicable for government schools, that is government aided schools. So whether it is applicable for government aided schools, no, but it is applicable for Panchayat Union schools, Adi Dravidar welfare schools, municipal corporation schools, and tribal welfare schools. So but it is not applicable for government aided schools or private schools, of course. And while those who studied from classes 6 to 12 in the government schools will be eligible for this. So a person to be eligible for this particular 7.5% of reservation for the UG courses in the NEET examination, they should have studied in the government schools completely from the 6th standard to the 12th standard. That is very important here. And we have to know something else about this word called affirmative action, because since something related to reservation is in news, we have to know what is an affirmative action. An affirmative action, it is a set of policies or practices within a government or organization seeking to increase the representation of particular groups based on their gender, race, sexuality, creed, or nationality in areas in which they are underrepresented, such as education, employment, and so on. Simply, if a particular group is underrepresented, an affirmative action will be taken so that they are represented enough in that society. For example, this is reservation. Okay, reservation is an example for affirmative action. So reservation does not mean it is affirmative action. Reservation is a part of affirmative action. There could be other actions as well. For example, appointment and promotion in the government services, reservation in educational institutions, reservation in the politics in central and legislative legislatures, and so on. So all these together as a single word is called as affirmative action. Now getting back to what is the difference between horizontal reservation and vertical reservation. Reservation for SC, ST, OBCs, all these are called as vertical reservations. Here it applies separately for each of the groups. So actually this is mentioned in the Article 16 Clause A of the Indian Constitution. So what is horizontal reservation? So it is the equal opportunity provided to the other categories such as women, veterans, transgender community, sometimes military personnel, individuals with disabilities, and so on. And this is provided by cutting through the vertical reservation. This is not a separate reservation. This is through the vertical reservation, this horizontal reservation is given. We'll see this with a small example as well. And this horizontal reservation comes under Article 15 Clause 3. Here, a vertical reservation is made in favor of a scheduled class or a backward class under Article 16 Clause 4. The candidates belonging to such class may compete for non-reserved posts. So this is a recent issue based on a judgment as well. So it does not mean that if someone enjoys reservation under Article 16 Clause 4, they cannot compete in the general category. They automatically compete in the general category as well, and this also we will see with an example. If people who enjoy reservation are appointed to the non-reserved posts on their own merit, their number will not be counted against the quota reserved for the respective reserved class. Let us see a small example. Let us say 10 seats are reserved for a particular category, maybe SC or something. And there is a particular person who belongs to the scheduled caste. And let us say there is an exam, the cutoff is 101.4. And for the reserved section, but that is for the reserved scheduled caste, the cutoff is 98, let us say. And this particular person, he gets the cutoff as 102, let us say. So he has the enough cutoff to clear the general cutoff itself. So now, whether he will get a seat under this reserved category, that is within this 10 seats, one seat will be given to this person who got the cutoff as 102, or the seat will be given to him from the general category. Here, according to the court's verdict, the seat for him will be given from the general category and not from the reserved category. The 10 reserved seats will just remain as it is for other people from the SC category to get filled it. That is, if they are getting cutoff around 98 or more. That is 98, let us say we took it as an example that it has been kept as the cutoff for the SC category. So those who get 98 and above, they can go to the reserved seats. They can use those 10 reserved seats. If someone is getting the cutoff even more than the general category, they have the cutoff enough to get a seat from the general category, they will get seat in the general category. The seats reserved will be kept intact. So this is what you have to understand. This was given in a court verdict, which we will be seeing shortly here. So if the number of SC candidates who by their own merit get selected in an open competition vacancies, the SC candidates, it cannot be said that the reservation quota for the SCs can be filled. Simply as what I explained now, in our example we saw that the 10 seats which are reserved for SCs will be intact if a particular person from the SC category clears the cutoff for the general category itself. So they will get the seat from the general category. The reserved category seats will be remaining there. Now going back to the horizontal reservation, the next concept. Now within the vertical reservation category, a special reservation for women is provided within the social reservation for scheduled classes. Again, we will see this with an example, which will be much more easier for us. Let us say for the scheduled caste, for example, we know that in the Panchayat Raj institution there is a reservation for the scheduled castes. There is a reservation for women also. So let us brush up our memory a little bit. We know that for SC category or ST category, the reservation is based on the proportion of the population, and the reservation for women will be 1/3 of the number of seats. So let us say there are again some 10 seats for a particular posting or for a Panchayat Raj institute, whatever. Let us take there are 10 seats now. These 10 seats are reserved for the SC category. And there is a reservation within this to say that at least three women belonging to the SC category have to be within the selection process. In that case, this reservation is called as horizontal reservation. So now this 10 seats reserved for the SCs is called as vertical reservation. So within this 10, we said 3 seats should be for women. So that is called as horizontal reservation. So here in this case, those 3 seats should be filled by a person who should be a person belonging to the scheduled caste category, and that person should be a woman also. In that condition, that is called as horizontal reservation. So here in our example, there are totally 10 seats for the scheduled caste, and within that 10 seats, 3 seats is horizontally reserved for the women category. That is, those 3 seats should be filled by a person who's an SC and also who's a woman. So this type of reservation is called as horizontal reservation. Now, how these seats have to be filled? Actually, the proper procedure is to first fill up the quota for a scheduled caste and then find out the number of candidates among them who belong to the special reservation group of, for example, scheduled caste women. So what you have to do? first you should take care that the 10 seats are whether filled up by the scheduled caste. Yes, because those 10 seats are reserved for scheduled caste, those 10 seats have to be filled up by scheduled caste people. And then within those 10 seats, you find out whether the reservation for women category is fulfilled or not. So let us say now there are, in our example we said 10 seats are there for the scheduled caste. So automatically when the filling up happened, so automatically when the election happened or whatever, automatically there are more than 3 women within those 10 seats reserved. That's it, it's over. No one will take care about it. But in case out of those 10 seats, let us say there are less than 3 women. Let us say there are 9 men and there is only 1 woman. In that case, the authorities will make sure that there are 3 women representatives kept within that 10 seats. So that's it. So first they will check the vertical reservation and then they will check the horizontal reservation. If by the vertical reservation itself horizontal reservation is automatically satisfied, they will don't take care about this horizontal reservation at all. That is, if there is any shortfall, only then the required number of scheduled caste women will have to be taken by deleting the corresponding number of candidates from the bottom of the list relating to the scheduled caste. So if you have not understood, let us see one more example also, or much more clearer example. Now we said for the SC category the seats are reserved 10 seats. So we will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seats are reserved. Now the election process is over, or the admission process or whatever, it is over now. Now the authority checks whether all these 10 seats are filled by the SC category. Yes, it is filled, done. Now they check for the second. First they checked for vertical reservation, that is fine, yes. Now again they will go and check for the horizontal reservation. Among these 10 members, whether at least 3 members are women, and if they find that there is no at least 3 women here, what they will do? From the bottom of the list, they will remove the first person and they will instead put a woman there. And now again they will check whether 3 women are there. No, there are only 2 women. Now what they will do? Again they will remove one more person from the bottom of the list and instead of that include another woman. Now how the seats are filled is 10 seats are filled, all 10 people are scheduled caste, fine. And among those 10 people, 3 members are women who belong to the scheduled caste. Everything is fine. This is how the horizontal reservation and vertical reservation takes place. Since this is in news for the last year and this year, because of this 2021 Saurva Yadav versus the state of Uttar Pradesh case, this could be a question in the UPSC prelims itself. So we have to be very careful with this. So all those things which we discussed now happened actually in the Saurav Yadav versus the state of Uttar Pradesh case, where the question was whether a person when selected for a seat, that seat should be chosen based on the reservation alone or the merit. So here they said merit stands the first place, and this verdict was against the state of Uttar Pradesh. So the same thing that I explained you where, that is, if a person gets a cutoff which is enough to clear the general category itself, that person will be given seat from the general category and not from the reserved category. This is the overall judgment of this particular case, but just for the sake of this case, I'll explain what happened in this case as well. There were 2 people called as Sonam Tomar and Rita Rani, who had got Sonam Tomar got 276.5949. This was the cutoff. And the other one, Rita Rani, got 233.1908. Rita Rani got this cutoff. And this first person, Sonam, had applied for OBC female reservation. And this Rita Rani had applied for SC category female category reservation. So here you can see that OBC and SC are vertical reservation categories, while female reservation is horizontal reservation category. So both have been applied here. So now the 2 candidates did not qualify in their categories. However, in the general female category. Okay, so you can see general, it is an unreserved, vertically unreserved category. The last qualifying candidate had secured 274.8298 marks. So this score was actually, you can see, it was lesser than Thomer's scores. I'm sorry, Thomer's score. So this person has got qualified in the general category, but her cutoff is actually lesser than the cutoff that this person belonging to the OBC category got. So now the question before the court was, so how to get the seat? So since this person has got 276.5, but she did not clear that cutoff in the OBC category, because OBC cutoff was more that time, but the general category cutoff was lesser in that particular exam. So a general category person got that seat. So now whom to give the seat to? The court said the verdict was against the Uttar Pradesh government, saying that, holding that if a person belonging to an intersection of vertical horizontal reservation category has secured scores high enough to qualify without the vertical reservation, the person would be counted as qualifying without the vertical reservation and cannot be excluded from the horizontal quota in the general category. So simply, if you don't have to read this verdict so much, simply it is, if a particular person has got a cutoff to clear from the general category but cannot clear even from their own reserved category, they will get the seat from the general category, because first it is the general category that is filled in case that particular person can clear the general cutoff. Okay, so this was the result of the Saurabh Yadav versus the state of Uttar Pradesh. The next topic is about weapons of mass destruction. So this is in news because the weapons of mass destruction and their delivery systems, Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2002 has been passed in the Lok Sabha. So that is why it is in news. So why this amendment? Because it seeks to amend the Weapons of Mass Destruction and their Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Act 2005. So they are going to amend this 2005 Act. Why? To provide against the financing of proliferation of weapons of mass destruction and their delivery systems in line with India's international obligations. Because when this act was made in 2005, the international obligations and rules were different. Now it has become different because technologically there has been lot of improvements. So the old law is not enough to hold on people from funding for creating these weapons of mass destruction. This is because in recent times, regulations relating to proliferation of weapons of mass destruction and their delivery systems by international organizations have expanded. So since the international organizations have expanded the view, now we need to have an act to expand the view as well, because we have ratified these acts already. And the United Nations Security Council has targeted financial sanctions and the recommendations of the Financial Action Task Force, that is FATF, which is very frequently in news. So FATF and the United Nations Security Council both have expanded their view on these weapons of mass destruction. So we had to make an amendment in par with these international organizations. And what are these weapons of mass destruction? Actually, there is no single authoritative definition for this weapons of mass destruction in the international law. Actually, the expression is usually just understood to cover nuclear weapons, biological weapons, and chemical weapons. So if any of these three weapons are used, it is called as weapons of mass destruction. And where is the definition for this? There is nowhere definition for this. Simply, conventionally, it is understood like this. So it is called as NBC, nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. That's it. So what are these weapons of mass destruction? Again, according to the United States Department of Homeland Security, a weapon of mass destruction is a nuclear, radiological, chemical, biological or other devices that is intended to harm a large number of people. So if a particular weapon or a weapon system is intended to harm a large number of people, it will be called as weapons of mass destruction according to the United States Department of Homeland Security. Apart from that, from India's side, what is a weapon of mass destruction has been defined in the 2005 Weapons of Mass Destruction Act, so which we just saw. That is, in this particular act, a definition is given which is very much similar. So what are some of the regulations that have been given for these weapons of mass destruction? One is the Geneva Protocol of 1925, which has banned the use of chemical and biological weapons, both. This could be a very important prelims question. And apart from that, the Biological Weapons Convention of 1972 and the Chemical Weapons Convention of 1992. So these are two important years. So these years seem to be familiar to us. These 2 years, 1972 and 1992, both these years are related to, in India we have, these are the years when we made certain laws to protect our wildlife. So here at the same years, we have the Biological Weapons Convention and Chemical Weapons Convention, which makes it easier for us to learn. And India has signed and ratified both the 1972 and 1992 treaties. Okay. And that's it for today. Thank you. Jai Hind. If you found the content good, please share it with your friends. Let us learn and grow together. And some of today's contents were somewhat a little bit tricky to understand. I have tried my best to break it down and make you understand as much as possible. If you have any further doubts, you can always comment in the comment section. We'll always come back with our answers and replies. Thank you.